What Black feminist concerns were raised in this week's reading?
Well,
okay.
I found one. It was so crazy because the person who had this book before me put a big arrow by it, and I see why. It's on page, well, in my book, I think our pages are still the same, 149.
Oh, I know that. I was going to use that one.
They put a big old arrow. I don't know. It's in pencil, but I was like, oh my god. Everybody, I guess, brittle male-female relationships were further weakened by the relative numbers of men and women in the cities because of the proportionally large number of Black women who were educated and skilled. High percentages of them were drawn to the cities. In New York City, for example, there were 105 Black women to every 100 Black men. As one study points out, a scarcity of women encourages a protective, monogamous attitude toward them by men. When there is a scarcity of men, protectiveness dissolves and men become reluctant to make permanent commitments. What the hell? I was like, what?
I think that's right.
I mean, first of all, this was about 1914, 15? And this is still the same. It's the same thing in 2016.
Yes.
So men haven't evolved? I'm confused. Like, I just don't understand. That's crazy to me.
A scarcity of women encourages a protective.
But when there are too many.
But we haven't seen a scarcity of women, so we don't.
I mean, but that's crazy. I mean, like, I'm not like in terms of like communities. I'm thinking like of colleges, you know, or like places where there are more girls, schools, job places. Like you can see that the relationships are always so crazy when there are men and women involved because of this issue. And I just thought that was so crazy.
Well, I would say that what makes that a feminist issue for me is, you know, because Black women have not had a lot of protection. You know, we've had this greater need to protect ourselves, to protect our bodies, to you know, be self-sufficient, get our economics together, that whole thing. You know, we are, in a sense, forced into a feminist position, whether we want to be there or not. Even in this chapter, there are some examples of, like, you know, like the woman that wanted to quit her job, but because, you know, she'd have been happy to stay home and, you know, and emulate, you know, white society, but was not allowed to. So, you know, so that's one aspect, I think, of that. But that paragraph struck me too, and the way it starts, brittle male and female relations, which makes me think of easily broken.
Yeah.
You know, easily broken and somewhat hostile.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? The quote from much earlier, I don't truck with no man. So I think when there's a shortage, some of us just gotta say, I ain't trucking with no man.
Yeah, and a lot of them trekked on up north. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what stood out for me was when they started to build the health care, and then I don't know, was it 10,000 kids that started to get health care that hadn't had it before?
I think so.
I just thought that was phenomenal to see all the different creativity and efforts just coming, you know, just coming full circle. It was just very empowering. I just was just like, well, we need to replicate that today.
Right. Also, this chapter, she's talked about it before, but it also mentions that, you know, a lot of the women were marrying later and having children later in life, which to me is feminist behavior because you're giving yourself a chance to develop, to actualize, before you have to take on all that responsibility. Parenting.
Especially if you had gotten married at 12. I think when they said the
Yeah.
12.
Yeah. And I think when she says they got married later, it was like 15, right?
Oh, that's so old.
But it was progress.
Yes, indeed.
I think the medium was 12 to 15, so later might have been 17.
Oh, she was an old maid by then. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
17.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was thinking about, isn't that Audre Lorde? I'm trying to think of that quote when she talks about Black women responding to and in as much as archives are concerned and controlling their own narratives through archives. She was encouraging Black women to do that. And so I just saw in this chapter, looking at, the preservation of Frederick Douglass's home and just going into the newspapers and to get these stories, to hear the Black woman's voice. I just thought that was of the utmost importance. I guess I would call it more radical Black feminism, but feminism nonetheless.
And I would also say that again, from the vantage of why we need Black feminism, one of the things that comes out in this chapter is how the Black women were moving into positions that white women had vacated when new opportunities became available during World War I. And so, it's just the point that yes, we're women, and so we have some gender things in common, but because racism, has always been a factor in our relationship, in this country at least, it means that our issues are not exactly the same.
Yes.
Definitely. And even the wage issue, right? Because the Black women were still paid less. Like, she acknowledges clearly the white women were not paid, but their male counterparts were receiving. But even still, Black women were not paid what the white women were paid. I mean, there was still some a disparity there.
Right. And I don't know that. Well, there's the other issue that she goes into about the women that were starting to sing opera and who were. So there was this concern, about how our image is projected. And so they were taking some ownership and control over that. And I'm not going to start a fight, Randy.
That has respectability politics.
Well, yeah, it is.
That's why I had my glass of wine before I came in. I'm gonna need some wine before. Mikey was like, he said, "Why you need some wine? They gonna talk about lemonade?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna have some wine just in case." I'm gonna come in.
Oh my goodness. But you did post some really two good articles on both sides of the story. I thought
I
they
go
were
for
very
balance,
enlightening.
Bill. You know, I like
Very
balance.
fair. That was very fair.
Yeah, yeah. Um, they'll deserve some criticism. But I don't idolize anybody. I don't think anybody's perfect. I don't think anybody is above criticism. Including myself. And certainly including anybody that's out there in a public, role. I think it goes with the territory, and I don't know, maybe I grew up in a, preacher's family, which is kind of a public family where everybody thinks they got a right to say something about you, and is always talking about you, so it doesn't bother me like that. But anyway, okay, anything else?
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Kim.
I just wanted to say quickly was that I loved when after the war and there was no jobs or anything, and they said that the only jobs African Americans could get was with other African Americans. And I was kind of hoping that the chapter would take off from there, where we were starting to really start to be more independent.
Yeah.
And so I just think that economic independence is so huge.
Yeah. And I love the way that White Rose mission, I love the way the women were, taking control of the Southerners that were
paving the streets. They were paving the streets.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.